glad that we get to visit with Tony and spend some time with him, a wonderful friend of ours. Any of you who know Tony also know that he's crazy.
Yeah.
Well, we're all kind of crazy, aren't we? We are. You've heard that before. Maybe you've said that before. I've said it before. And so then it becomes this measure of craziness, or a manifestation of crazy, to be labeled truly insane. They're crazy talkers who never stop for a moment of interjection. Crazy bitches. Stalkers. Pent-up fighters praying for an excuse to explode. There are crazy clowns hiding behind the idea of free thinking. There are crazy controllers doling out dictates from a big old bucket of power. Then, there's mass murder crazy. Painting with your poo crazy. Quarantining from society crazy. Killing puppies crazy. So the difference between the guy in the lab coat searching for distant planets and the man in the straitjacket waiting for alien friends is just the slightest shift in perspective. We've all had that feeling coming up the basement stairs knowing you're just 2 steps in front of the monster. But it's when we allow our imaginations to create fingers around our ankles, or to drive in one automobile car chases, or to give faces to the voices in our heads, that our ability to participate in reality ceases and our imaginary play lives begin. So make this life what you want it to be. Live like it's your one chance. Cling to whatever chance gives you the ability to feel your life outside of the robotic wishes of others. But don't you ever dance like no one's watching. Because we are all one daydream away from the loony bin.
Woo!
One thing I think that makes us crazier than anything else is love. And every decade seems to have its own flavor of love. This poem is called Love According to the 80s Top 40 Pop Chart. I used to be Jesse's girl till I told him to beat it. So again, I'm the owner of a lonely heart, and it was just like starting over. I was down in Margaritaville looking for a man to start me up, and it was like karma communion. My Betty Davis eyes locked on the eye of the tiger, and oh, his kiss was on my list. As we crossed the crowded room, I had a total eclipse of the heart, and in a careless whisper, he said, See, lady. Angel, you could be a centerfold. I've been looking for a girl like you. And I said, yes, I want to know what love is, endless love. He said, whoa, wait a minute, man. I just want you tonight because I got a slow hand, and I can show you just another day in paradise. What's love got to do with it? So we went to his place for some sexual healing and abracadabra. We got the beat. I did ride like the wind in his open arms, and then celebration. Oh, his album was in my stream. Do that to me one more time, he screamed. I can't go for that. Oh, no can do. No time to keep on loving you. I can't get money for nothing. I'm working 9 to 5. He said, don't you want me, baby? I said, it's still just rock and roll to me. Well, call me. I placed the rose on his pillow as another one bites the dust. That poem got a little bit dirty at the end. You know what else is dirty we are? It's been determined that 10% of our body's dry weight is bacteria. That means 10% of all the you that you are is this writhing, steaming bowl of microscopic plague. Yes, that's more for some of us than others, but it makes me giggle to think that I buy antibacterial soap. Or that I wash my hands and I'm quite sure the billions of bacteria in the loo explode into uproarious laughter each time I pump the soap. Which is like using an eyedropper to empty an ocean. And that brings me to the vastness of space. Make this shift with me for a moment. Think for a minute, if you will, about infinity. A concept too large to fit into our rational little brains. And then ponder this. It's quite possible that we are the bacteria for a much larger being. Our entire universe, a subatomic, microscopic speck, even yet to be discovered by our huge hosts. Oh, we're so mysterious. And then think about the bacteria. With their roadways, their sidewalks, their civilizations. If you really think about the continuum there is in infinity, and our littleness in this growing bigness, housing a vastness to bacteria's tininess, we begin to feel foolish worrying about weight, or race, or religion, or bills, or 401ks, or any expectation being placed on us by varying tides of insignificant points of view. When we think about the purpose we have here on earth, we realize we're here to pull a smile from our brother's face, to wrap our arms around the warm heart of another, to pull each other close, to relish these tangible moments we share here together. Remember why we love one another. In the ridiculousness of war, hunger, terrorism, anything that could cloud the beauty rushing up against us every day, every hour, every second, even every millisecond. Since we have quite a few writers here tonight, I decided to do this poem called Disclaimer. Being a poet, it requires guts and heart, and a tattoo or properly placed piercings. Permanent body disfigurement can also be replaced by large leather boots, belts with big grommets, metal chains hanging from any part of the waist region, or bracelets in multiples of 20. If over 25 years of age, a poet is allowed a brief stint in normalcy. One may wear understated skirts, khakis, button-down shirts with a maximum of 2 colors if plaid, smart tops, capri pants, and sundresses. Should the transition into adulthood be difficult for the poet, they may still keep their leather boots and fishnet hose, add in short skirts and faded t-shirts, still visiting bars in excess of 3 times per week. And they may now include tie-dye and smoking marijuana daily. After 45, the continued profession of poetry will require bright scarves, red lipstick, large hats, tube socks with shorts, overalls, silk or satin blouses, plain black tennis shoes or shoes with sequins. The poet may now also add large belt buckles and clip-on earrings. As for the art of poetry, poets must first write of injustice. The poems can be political, romantic, or global in nature, often slam poetry. This is the time rants or sexual prowess poems are most pervasive, and the poet perceives themselves as having the largest impact on the general populace. Once a majority of the crucial topics are covered, the poet can then add humor and transition into observational poetry. In this phase, the poet writes about the slight epiphanies of everyday existence, until the cynicism of reality sets in. Once the ice of the cynic has been broken, the poet graduates into the final truth phase of writing. The remainder of the poet's work will focus on timeless, universal truths in an effort to bequeath their knowledge and immortalize themselves in ink and paper. As for the format, a poet can write in any form or lack thereof, understanding that whichever format they choose will be the immature or unrefined choice. Unless you are chosen by the President of the United States to be the official poet of the nation, scream at the press in a drunken stupor at every opportunity, or shoot your wife in the face, substantial notoriety as a poet is not an option, and the general populace will continue to view the art form as a tedious attempt to get laid, or a juvenile exercise in expression. Should you agree to the above terms and conditions and feel the need to engage in poetry in spite of the strict requirements aforementioned, you will find a freedom you never expected. The wind will never feel the same on your skin, and the sounds of the city will crackle with a life completely hidden before you were birthed into the streets of poetry. The smell of a single flower will be overwhelming, and the parody of life will unfold before you as the most humorous episode ever imagined. Should you choose to buckle up for this ride? Throw your hands in the air, scream at the top of your lungs, and keep in mind there will be no further need for explanations or disclaimers. That part about the money has been unfortunately true in poetry. And there's a lot of focus on that in our country. It really can cause people to do erratic, dangerous, and hurtful things. It's when they're searching for all this cash.
Cash.
Quarters.
Gonna do the laundry.
He says.
Taking the car.
He says, gets on the highway, light like a landing strip. Light like a landing strip.
Slate of darkness scribbled on with a neon pen.
How'd the rich get that rich?
How'd the poor get that poor?
How did everybody get so
murderous? How did everybody get so ready to kill over the stupidest shit? He thinks it must come down to
He
cash.
thinks it must come down to cash.
Must be everything comes down to
Must be
cash.
everything comes down to cash.
In this country, anyway.
Cash.
In this country,
Cash.
anyway.
Everything comes down to this. To avoid misery,
Cash.
pulls into the parking lot, lots of money in his pockets, gets a drink,
Gets
drinks
a
it,
drink,
drinks
drinks
it, drinks it, and the
Drinks
quarters
it,
go
and the
in.
quarters
The slot machine and the quarters gets a drink, drinks it, and the quarters go in the slot machine. Cash! Orange, cherry, lemon, cherry, lemon, cherry, lemon, cherry, lemon, cherry, lemon, cherry blank, orange, cherry blank, orange, cherry, lemon, orange, cherry blank, orange, cherry, lemon, orange, cherry, lemon, orange, blank, orange, lemon, cherry, cherry, cash! He took the day off work to be with his friends, Sammy and Davis, and ride around Vegas. He says he wants to live a life free of boredom, a life free of pain. Says this the U.S. and there is money everywhere. In the desert hills, in the darkest bars, in the deepest caskets, in the poorest excuse, in the flat expression, in the fabrication, in the sliding lands, in the Sands Hotel. I'm going to the store,
he says.
taking the car, ignoring the index of economic indicators
And the statistics that tell me I'm poor. I'm going to the store.
I'm going to the store.
I'm going to the store.
Isn't that what money's for? My lovely husband of 20 years, Lance Asbury. I'm going to close with this piece. Because I like the work I do. I take it seriously. But I take other people's work more seriously because I learn things from them that I never knew before. I see things through their eyes. I've spoken through their mouths. And so I go around to all the open mics and I listen to the poets. There was this one open mic and there was this guy and he was talking about words and what he could do with just words. And when I looked more deeply into that guy's eyes, I realized words weren't what he was talking about at all. We did this tour of the California coastline in the open mic section of one of the shows. This young girl got up. She could have been more than 14 years old. She read this poem about her father, about how he had violated the sanctity of her young body, and her hands were shaking, and I heard her voice quaver as she read it. But when I looked deeply enough into that little girl's eyes, I realized her father wasn't what she was talking about at all. In Lawrence, I was doing this show with a friend of mine, and he was doing this poem to his lady who was in the audience at the same time. And the rest of us, we just faded to flat black and white while the two of them stood out in the most vivid color as he professed the deepest emotions in his soul for her. But when I looked closely enough into my friend's eyes, I realized she wasn't what he was talking about at all. When I was 15, I watched a car slide through a train guardrail and bury itself beneath a freighter. From inside the wreckage, this voice called out, "Can anybody out there hear me?" And he had to call 3 times and louder before finally someone from the crowd that had gathered stepped forward, and he said, I hear you. And the voice said, please, come here. And that man, he got down on hands and knees and crawled up under the wreckage. And as he did, this bloody hand and arm emerged, and the voice from within said, please, hold my hand. It is so hard to die alone. And that man, he held that hand, and the shaking soon calmed, and a much calmer voice simply said, thank you. He died. And so now I go around to all the open mics, and I listen to the beautiful poets, their mouths spouting amazing lines of lyric and rhyme and love and passion and beauty, and all the while I can hear their eyes screaming from the bottom of their souls, can anybody out there hear me? Please hold my hand, because it is so hard to live alone. And if you were to look deeply enough into my eyes right now, you'd hear them saying the same thing. And so I simply share. We hear each other. We hold each other's hands. And we are